Tonight, ladies and gents, I want to bring in a special guest, and I want to do a good introduction here because I've been following this guy for a bunch of years, and it turns out we've been following each other on Twitter for some time, unbeknownst to myself. And I was like, "Oh, holy cow! I want to get this guy on here." And well, that is Uncle Hack, and here's his channel. It's called Danger Cats, and he's had this. Let me get the chat out of here real quick. He's had this channel for gonna say at least 4 years, because that's how long I've been following it. But yeah, a lot of fun on this channel. He's a comedian, and it's amazing because it's a flavor of comedy that you don't get to see much anymore in this woke Canada, this woke Western world, where you get to see somebody who's just not afraid to just say whatever and watch things get really spicy. So I'm gonna show you a couple of clips before we bring them on in here, and just let you get a taste of the kind of sense of humor that you're gonna be watching for the next little bit here. Here's one clip from the channel.
Hey honey, you're not gonna believe it, I got a special surprise for you. I talked the US military, Air Force, to do our gender reveal today.
Oh my gosh.
Well, thank God it's white.
Okay, I'm gonna get flagged for that. Not for the language, but for the music on that one. But we also have this other clip here. This one I thought was great and fitting.
My name is Dixie Normus, and I defecate in the women's washroom at Cadbury head offices. And to celebrate International Women's Day, we decided to change our famous chocolate bar Mr. Big to Miss Big. We're also gonna add an extra inch to our Miss Big chocolate bar because women can have gigantic penises too. Girl power. We want women of all sexes to feel comfortable eating our chocolate during their periods. When you're this big, they call you Miss. Miss Big. Don't let your penis define the lady you truly are this International Women's Day.
Unreal. And this is the kind of comedy that we can expect from Uncle Hack here on YouTube. And well, why don't we just bring in the man himself, Uncle Hack? Welcome, and nice to meet you finally for the first time.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been a riot. I've been following you since like back in your webcam days, and yeah, no, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. It was funny to see that you've been following me on Twitter for a bit because of what I do here, but. Well, just fill me in. Like, how do you get away with the stuff that you say on YouTube? I'm always concerned. I said tranny in a live stream once, and I got flagged, and maybe I'll get flagged for just having said that now. But you're not pulling any punches, and that's what I love about your comedy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just stopped caring.
That's it. Just stop caring. Fair enough. Well, you recently came out to British Columbia. I missed that show, which sucked because I only found out about it like a day before it was going on. I went and saw Ben Bankus the day before, and that's why I couldn't go back down to Vancouver. But yeah, we've got characters that are coming out here that are totally not of the woke in a woke town. How did your show go, and did you run into any issues while you were out here?
No, you know what, man? I'm not big enough for anybody to care when I come into town. So, like nobody gives a shit. It's funny. Like I get the online stuff from time to time, but apart from like people showing up and trying to like ruin the show or anything like that. And quite honestly, if it did happen, I would be stoked because that's like, it's a high honor to get to a level where people will get off their ass to come and like try and ruin your day. To me anyways, maybe most people, they probably think normally about it, or they're like, oh, that would suck to have some people being assholes. Or oh, sorry, am I
No,
not
you
supposed to swear?
yeah, no, I've already warned the audience because normally I don't have a lot of swears on the channel, and I do that just so people, people are watching the videos with their kids in the room and stuff like that. But I gave the heads
Okay.
up, kids, earmuffs or whatever you got to do, because you can't have a racy comedian on and not have any swears. So everybody, that's your warning. But pack up the kids or get your headphones on. This is the way that the rest of this stream is going. But no, I really appreciate you coming on because this woke world, like, how do you navigate this as a comedian? Because like people are telling comedians, what is it? A couple of years ago, a Vancouver comedian got hauled before a human rights tribunal, fined $15,000 for making fun of some lesbians on the front row at a show. Like, how do you navigate this world?
Yeah, like I said, I don't care, and like if that comes my way, then I'm sure the headlines will and whatever backlash comes from it, will ticket sales go up, so that 15K got fined. Now your name, you basically paid $15,000 for like the best publicity you could get in this day and age. You know what I mean? Like that shit, like people just go nuts over that, and it goes viral. So I mean, as a comic, you want to grow your audience and be able to speak to more people. If something like that happens, like I'm stoked. Yeah, I'm happy about it. But I guess that's just a different perspective to have on like something like that. I get it. Like some comics don't want to do that. They have their path and they're set in their ways. Where like I've already said too much heinous stuff on the internet to, CBC is out of the question. Getting these festivals like the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, the Halifax Comedy Festival, they don't want me unless I can move tickets for them. So I'm in a weird gray area right now where, see, the funny thing is this wokeness goes away when you can make them money. So, because if you look at like these festivals and everything, some of the comedians on there are just as filthy and just as dirty as me, and they've been doing it 10 times longer, and they have a track record. So nobody cares when money is the main goal. It's just like a front to, almost, it's like barriers to put in front of up and coming comics. That's all it does. It does nothing good for comedy,
Yeah.
So well, the only thing it does is it just gives American headliners more opportunity to make more money in Canada, because those are the names that are going to draw people out. You don't give anybody in Canada the opportunity, like if they want to do the type of comedy that we're doing with like Danger Cats, like Brett Forte and Sam Walker and myself, it kind of shuts the door on that. So I came into this with like a social media following, so it was just like I was already set in my ways before. Like I'm not gonna be like, oh well, today I'm gonna really try to educate some people. I'm really gonna make them really think why they shouldn't vote right wing. Like I don't care.
Yeah, it's not about that, right? But that's always the feeling that I get from. Oh, sorry, I'm hearing myself back a little bit. I'm not sure if that's on.
Is that me?
I don't know.
It might be. Sometimes this thing, I'll switch it to. It might be an echo.
Is that better?
How about now?
Oh yeah, it's much better. Yeah, it's much better. So, but yeah, I almost lost my train of thought there. But so yeah, that's always from what my perspective is when these people are going out and they're saying you're not allowed to say that, you can't say that. I always feel like they think that you're trying to swing people politically, like get them to think a certain political way. But from my perspective, comedians, they don't care about that. It's just about what's a funny punchline. So like, where did you come from? Where did you grow up?
Tabor, Alberta, small southern Alberta town.
So like a lot of your comedy really reflects that. Like from my perspective as a Canadian, I grew up in Windsor, Ontario, but I also spent time up north. And every time I watch your comedy, I'm just thinking of all my friends that I know from up north in Ontario. And it's really just like backwoods, like sticks kind of humor. and it's what's funny. It's what a lot of people are thinking. And if you've got a clever punchline, then it's like it's that's what delivers. It's not really about like politics or anything like that. Not like I cover politics and I can dish out all the political stuff, but every time I go to these comedy shows, or if I watch a show that, you know, people are protesting against, and then you watch it, and that's not really what's in it. Like, so how do you even navigate that world where everything is politically charged? But well, I know you said you don't care, but like,
yeah, no, I understand what you're asking is like, how do you navigate like through maybe the scene and like the little things? Because I did have to get involved with like comedians and then, you know, be allowed on their shows, because like a lot of it when you're up and coming, it's a lot of open mics and you're involved in a comedy community. And some towns, like, you know, you hear the horror stories that, you know, oh, you can't say this on this show, and then all this shit is like put in front of them, where it just like depletes the comedy. Where Edmonton is wicked for that. You know, there's a lot of guys that have been in the game for a while, and when this kind of woke, or, you know, kind of word policing starts happening, a lot of it's already a band of like good people, and they're like that's not what we're about. Nobody gives a shit about what your political leaning is. Like, there's guys that vote left, right, NDP, it doesn't matter. The main focus is like, be as funny as you possibly can. And that's the cool thing about coming up in the Edmonton scene, is like, they don't care. Like, nobody in the scene cares. And then when some of that starts coming up, or and like maybe somebody new comes in and be like, you can't say that, and start trying to do that shit, they get pushed out to the edges. They have a difficult time getting on shows. Nobody wants to deal with them. So it's actually the complete opposite here.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And like the good comics get booked on stuff because, you know, there's some old school bookers up here that are like, we don't care. This stage isn't meant for activism. These people pay to laugh. Nobody gives a fuck what, or nobody gives a.
It's good. It's good. Don't worry about
it. No one cares. All right. Like, get up there and make them laugh. And so that's the cool thing about this city is, you know, obviously there is woke shows that take place and they have their comics and they do their own thing, you know, like it's totally separate from the people that are actually doing something cool. And it was rad. Like, when I came here, or when I first like got into the open mic scene and everything, I thought like, I've already painted myself as like, you know, wearing blue coveralls, pro oil, all this. And like, there's certain parts of the city, like anywhere, that like, that attracts kind of the artsy folks and shit. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna have a tough time just like not even making friends, but I thought like just getting involved. And it was totally opposite. Those guys were just like stoked. They're like, hey, we got a new dude on the scene. Like, this is cool. Hey, you should come to this show. You should do this show. And like, they were recommending like, hey, check out this Facebook group and hit these mics. And you got time next week to hop on my show. So like, they're very welcoming.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool, actually. It's it's amazing that like on the backside of things it's not exactly like what we all think is happening, because we see this on social media, and holy cow, YouTube's got its issues. Twitter had issues. Now it's pretty good now. But how do you see the online world versus the like the stand-up comedy world? Like, I do my shows every day. I have like a live stream every Friday. I do videos every morning, but I'm just talking to a camera and I have screens around me. You're up stage in front of like a shitload of people. And like, you could, if you bomb, you bomb, right? But that's, if I have a video that bombs, I mean, like, just whatever. I'll make another video. Yeah. There's not much attached to it. Like, it's way more up close and personal.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, though. That's the art, you know. So it's you got to bring it. You got to make sure your writing's tight, and it's hard work, you know. Like it's a different type of work, but it's still like you you try. That's that's another thing too. Why I really am stoked to be a part of the Edmonton comedy scene, because these guys give you room to, you know, figure out what is funny. Because if there's barriers in front of you and you don't know what's funny, you need a stage, you need a crowd to know what's funny in that room. And it could be the room's off, maybe the joke isn't good. It could be a number of things, but to have the ability to go up and attempt, that's the big thing. It's all about the attempt, and everybody up here recognizes that and they embrace that. So like you get the freedom to go up there and try whatever you want. It may not work that time, but you can work it out as time goes on. And like I said, these showrunners up here give you the freedom to give it a whirl, and no matter how edgy or how silly or quirky or whatever it is, they don't care. It's just like you're going up, and those people that are sitting in the audience, those are your test subjects with the material that you have. So, you know, and you don't get that very often. You know, you might get, sometimes you might get 5 minutes a week, or you could end up getting an hour and 30 of stage time. So it's all, you know, you take advantage of it.
I'd say that I don't know how to fill an hour and 30, but I do a 2-hour live stream every week. So I think once you get out there, I guess once the ball gets rolling, you just kind of roll with it and do it.
I don't mean like an hour 30, like go. I mean like an hour 30 over the week. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, that's a big set. That's like a really big set.
That's pros. Those are the pros that are doing
that's like
it,
a special kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so one thing that always comes to mind when it comes to comedy is John Cleese, I think, famously said, I'm paraphrasing, that, you know, in every joke that is inherently kind of got a bit of malice to it. Like every joke's kind of throwing a dig at people. And that seems to be like a thing that people just can't handle these days. Like, oh, well, you can't, you got these Karens, you know, they're, you're not allowed to say that, you can't have that. But like everything is a dig. And I work in a shop. Like that's my job. I'm a mechanic. This is my career. Yeah. I've always worked in like situations like that, either as a mechanic or as a guy at a rock crusher. I've done all kinds of jobs in the mining sector and industry. And people are digging on each other all day long. You don't have room for not being offended. Like offended is what you are perpetually every day. And you know, you cash your check and you're offended. Like that's your whole life is offense. So like this is what I find refreshing about what you do, is like it reminds me a lot of just like blue collar life, where you just that's it. Did you actually have you worked as a blue collar guy in Alberta? And how did you get into comedy? Like where did that all come from?
To answer your first question, it's always been labor jobs that I've had growing up. Like I worked in a shop too. I was like when I was living in Lethbridge, I installed windshields for a while, then moved back to my hometown, and then that's when the working in the oil industry started. And then I got a job opportunity up in Edmonton, and then the videos and all that started. And then I just always wanted to do it. It was like something when I was younger, like me and all my buddies, is like I remember the first special I watched was Dave Chappelle's Killing 'Em Softly on Comedy Central when I was like 12 or 13 years old. And I was just like, man, this guy rules. That shit was so funny. I was dying laughing as like a 13-year-old at Chappelle's special. And then that kind of like birthed this like attraction to stand up. And then me and my friends all got it. Like we were buying, you know, stand-up specials, like the CDs, and trading them and shit. And you know, it just started from there. And then there's no comedy scene in Taber, Alberta, so how the hell you even get involved? And then once I was in Edmonton, I was going and just watching like open mic comedy like years before I even thought of giving it a try. And excuse me. Finally, I just kind of hit my low, man. I was really, I was doing like a lot of blow and drinking, and I hit an absolute low, and it was the worst I've ever felt in my life. And just like life was hitting me hard. And then I was like, you know what, man, this is probably the time that I find a new hobby rather than doing cocaine. And
Okay.
and then I went and I ate a dick at a open mic in Edmonton, and I was like, I like this shit, because it like I felt inspired again and wanted to do something with it, and I just like I bombed so
Oh,
hard.
bombing got you inspired. That's
Yeah. Because I was like, I want to figure it out. It was like even I used to fight, so like the first time I went into a martial arts gym, I got my ass kicked. First time sparring, and it's like, I can, that's when like, oh, this is for me or it isn't. And I was like, okay, I can get better at this, and I can compete with these guys. I know I can. I just got to be here all the time. And then that same mentality kicked over to comedy, and it was going to every mic I could. But lucky for me, the shutdown happened right after my first ever open mic. So
how
Yeah.
did that affect you?
it sucked, dude. It sucked. So, the shutdown happened, and then I just was like, okay, well, no sense being pouty about it. Sit here and write, come up with new material. That clearly did not work. So go back to the drawing board. And then, yeah, that honestly helped. That was the only positive I can think of being locked indoors for ever.
Yeah, well, yeah, everybody hated it. I'm hearing myself back again. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, it's doing that again.
It is.
It keeps like, I don't know why, but it's
Is it? Yeah, I'm
it
still
probably
hearing it.
Still?
Yeah.
Okay. How about now?
Now it's good. Yeah, it's good. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, but anyway.
It's something with this mixer. I don't know what it is. It'll be good, and then all of a sudden it decides like, and then I just gotta switch the input on whatever device.
It just decides that it's not going to be good for. Yeah, that's fair.
Yes.
I have finicky equipment like that too. But yeah, lockdown was awful for a lot of people. For me, like I just kept working. It was no different. I'm considered essential. I guess comedy's not essential, but booze is. I never understood how they determined what was essential and what wasn't, because it's like everybody stay healthy, but go home and get boozed on the government dollar. Like,
yeah,
that was a thing.
And we'll enable it by handing you money and encourage you to sit at home and be a drunk and just eat garbage.
yeah, that's what happened. So like a lot of the fun stuff that I wanted to do was turned off. So I buried myself in work and whatnot. And then yeah, here we are all these years later. But I was following you way before the lockdown even happened. You were doing sketch comedy on YouTube. Danger Cats has been around since way before the lockdown, and you've had some success with that.
Yeah. I don't even know how to explain it, man. I was bored at work one day and just thought like these videos would be fun to do, and just started doing like, I don't know. I would just hear like how people would talk in the oil patch, and it was funny to me, and because it reminded me of home, and like that's how me and my buddies talk to one another. We're not sitting here trying to have intellectual conversations on how to solve world hunger. No, we're like talking about tits and getting hammered, like just guy stuff, and then I don't know what I was sifting through YouTube and I couldn't find anybody. I was like, I can't find nothing. I don't even know where to look for this type of humor. So I was like, piss on it. I'll create it myself, I guess. And it just worked. I don't know. I can't sit here and act like I'm some sort of marketing guru or anything. I just took the things that I like and just made sense out of it. And it became fun during that time, and just like being almost obnoxious in a way online and creating a ruckus and finding other people that like the similar things I do and had similar interests, hobbies, whatever it could be,
So that's what appealed to me, was the obnoxiousness of it. It was like really early internet kind of feeling. I would show a clip, but like everybody can go check out the channel and see some of the like more viral videos. And it was just like, here's the weather in Canada today from the perspective of like an oil field worker. And it was great. And there was just like stupid explosions like uncalled for explosions and shit, like no reason for it, but it just like thrown in there. I loved it, and that it had such an appeal. I'm like, okay, I'm subscribing to this guy, and then I see years later you're doing stand up. Now, how did it go with the during the lockdowns? So I know Ben Bankus, he's from Toronto, and he was getting together with other comedians in like I can't remember, High Park or whatever it's called in Toronto, and they were doing outside shows, and they were getting busted. Like they had the police coming out and shutting them down. They're all standing 6 feet apart and whatever, but like no, can't have fun. How was it in the Western scene in Alberta for comedy?
Dude, we're rebels out here. That's how we get down in Alberta. We didn't give a fuck, man. We were doing shows. Fuck them. Yeah, we had
like
we had
clubs?
our spot
In clubs or outdoors?
Well, I can't out them. I don't want to out them. I don't know.
Oh, okay, like, yeah. You don't have to tell me where, but just like you can describe.
Yeah, no,
barely like what it was like.
There was chairs and booze. That's all that mattered.
That's great.
Yeah, man. Like it was tight. Like there was a lot of folk that were down with what we were doing, and they knew that we didn't care. We weren't about what was happening, so we just said, "Piss on it. We'll do our thing, and we just won't share the address." And we still were able to get folks out. And there was even a room where they let people smoke weed inside and shit. So we were like the rebels without a cause. Well, with a cause, I guess. So the rebel with a cause. And we were still doing shows, me, Sam, and Brett.
That's crazy. So they were like speakeasies in Alberta. Yeah. Oh, that's great. like Prohibition era stuff happening during the pandemic.
Honestly, it was a lot of fun because it was like, people were on edge and what we're talking about and what we're saying on stage is just like, what the hell is going on? And it already has a feel like what we're doing and is like, oh man, we can get in shit for this. So it made comedy a lot of fun, man, without having to, be obnoxious out in the field with a shotgun. It's just like, I got a microphone and you just like, it felt good. It just felt good to be like punk rock again,
That's crazy. That's something I wish I could have been a part of. That's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah. Doing stuff against the man, damn the man. And it's so funny. Yeah. It's so funny because like a lot of the stuff that you're not allowed to say these days, or even during the pandemic, they say, you in your comedy you should be saying this or that, and it's like comedy's always about punching up. Like I've never understood comedy that punches down. It's not funny. Like when you have comics like trying to speak out about Trump getting impeached or something like that, and you're like, it doesn't have the same sting because you're not fighting against somebody who can. And maybe that's a bad example, but like making jokes that just they're not racy. There's no like risk to saying what you're saying. Like it almost feels more impactful if you're actually going against somebody who you're not supposed to or you're not allowed to say something about.
Yeah, that's the fun part, man. Is like how do I write something that's so how do I write something that an audience is just like, no, it doesn't matter what you think, what your opinions are or anything, that can make them laugh and just like dicking around, man. Of course you're going to get, we don't necessarily get the like arms crossed. We kind of establish ourselves of like who we are and what we do with our marketing and whatnot. And it attracts who it attracts. And so we get, people walking out and shit like that, but nobody creates a ruckus because, when you come to our show, it's like every single one is different every time because it could be one crowd's obnoxious. They're drunk and they want to, yap with you. So you're getting into verbal altercations with them and it's fun. And then we enjoy that. And that's what separates us, I think, from other shows is like most people don't like that behavior, but we kind of encourage it. So, and of course you don't want it in the show, right? But if it happens, and you just deal with it. And some comics can't can't deal with it. And I'm not trying to trash anybody by saying that, but it's just like, you press play and do your jokes. And if you can't handle a rowdy audience, and quite honestly, if I'm shooting you straight here, when you come off the road going and doing our shows, and then you get into, an open mic where people are paying attention and shit, I already got my gun out and I'm drawing like, who wants to say some shit? I'm ready. I'm ready to talk some jazz with you bastards. But because I'm so used to just being like someone calling me gay or something like that. And it's actually like refreshing. You think it would be the opposite, like you go and do a show and you're like trying to prepare for the worst, but the worst has already happened. And the open mic is like easier. I don't get it. It makes no sense.
Oh man, so like that's one of the big things that I think a lot of people fear the most if they ever did a stand-up is the hecklers. Like you go in, you're prepared with something, and then somebody comes up. But some of the best moments in comedy gold are heckler moments.
Yeah,
but I think it's like hit and miss, right?
Oh yeah, man, and like you never know what somebody's gonna say, so just like let it roll, just surf that wave, have fun. Comedy's all about having fun. I don't get these idiots that are always like uptight and they're on like, this is my show, and it's like, shut up. Just be fucking. We're comedians. We're the jesters, and you're over here trying to be like you're creating like a magnificent piece of art that should be next to the Mona Lisa. Shut up, tell your dumb shit, and let the next idiot go up. Like we're all morons. Relax.
Well, where do you draw the line? So like there's what they used to say that the court jester, there's like kind of the responsibility of the court jester to hold truth to power kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess you don't have to do that all the time. It's just you're making jokes.
Yeah, and have fun with it, like don't hold yourself to such a high standard. Like Jesus Christ, I don't get it. That annoys me is like the ego of comedians sometimes. And it's like, you realize that we go up and like everybody started talking about their genitalia to get their feet moving in or whatever, some stupid porn joke, the old, I watch too much porn, and we all have done that at some point in time. And I'm still young in this game. So I probably still do it, and just like throw away comments or something like that. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm better than, who's ever in the audience. That's the ticket buyer. We're on the same level. Let's have some fun in here. I got the mic. I'll say some wild shit. We'll all party and have a good time.
So
1984 in here, baby.
Oh, that's awesome. So you don't just do that, but you have the Uncle Hack podcast, which I've tuned into a bunch of, and they're fun to listen to, and it's more off the cuff, right?
Yeah, I'm just I don't know. I can't like give you a description of what it is. It's just me looking at things and just like whatever comes to mind in that moment, and it could be I'm being serious. I could be in a silly mood. I don't know what it is. It's just fun. I try to have fun, and like I try to put myself in somebody's shoes that could possibly listen to this, and like what's going to make the drive home a little easier of like a maniac yelling in his spare room,
I've tuned into a bunch of them. They're fun to listen to when I'm at work and I'm pulling wrenches and fixing stuff. But one thing that I really like is the what do you call it? Uncle Hack, Ask Uncle Hack, or
hate mail.
Hate mail. That's it.
Yeah. Everybody's like getting banned off of social media. Sorry, I shouldn't have drank this stupid sparkling water. It just made me like burp. I don't know if you can hear me like burp.
No, I get it every time I stream. I have soda waters here.
Oh yeah, the worst. But everybody's always getting their social media banned and whatnot. So I was like, hey, you know what? If you got some thoughts inside your head that you don't want to tweet, I'll read it. I'll just read it on the show. We'll do X amount and just email the show, and I'll read it, and you can make fun of me. I don't care. It just like, if you want to tell me I suck, by all means, that's good content. I'll sit back and I'll read your email.
I love it. And I encourage everybody in the audience to go check that out. I'm getting the hear back thing again. If you can just do a tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then hopefully, yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay,
Nice.
I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about Alberta right now. So Alberta, like I know you're a comedian, but you must have political views and stuff. You did a segment today, and I think it was today you put it out. It cracked me up huge, and I'm just gonna play it for the audience to see it, and then we'll just we'll talk about it, because there's been forest fires in the west coast here, and well, especially in Alberta, and holy crap, this cracked me up. Let's just get right into it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just letting everyone know I will not be having a questioning period. I've got a tea time at Lewis Estates, which I'm already going to be late for. Just reminding everyone that there is a strict fire ban in Alberta still, and that we are adding measures to ensure everyone in the province stays safe during this time. Firstly, after seeing what happened in Banff with Canada's first ever Women in Fire training, we will be suspending all funding to any female ideas in the province immediately. And yes, this includes trans women as well. We want to ensure we are still being inclusive. Right now, as the province is set ablaze, we don't need women thinking. If we see any women thinking, you will be fined $2,500. Adding to that, if we see any women camping alone or alongside female-only campers, they will be imprisoned for a mandatory 120 months. And lastly, women using a lighter, matches, or any items that can create fire without the supervision of males will be sent to Saudi Arabia to learn gender roles. Thank you, and we appreciate your patience while we sit back and watch the province burn to a crisp and do the bare minimum. Sorry, I have a tea time to catch.
That killed me. That absolutely killed me. So obviously the story about the what is it, the W tracks or whatever, the women's from Banff got your attention.
Oh man, I read that and I was like, you gotta be shitting me. And of course, like the first thing as soon as I read it, I just looked at my girlfriend and I was like, what do you think about that? Huh? looks like you guys are killing it out there. Like, shut the fuck up.
Oh man, so it was funny because I was waiting for a few days to see how the story would develop, and the media buried it, and I was like, oh, it's that bad, is it?
Yeah. Good one, guys. Way to fight toxic masculinity, like burning the town down. You idiots.
And oh my god! And the best part was, it was women international. So they were putting them through this training exercise. For those that don't know, okay, for those that are listening that don't know, and you didn't see my video on it, they were doing a training exercise in Banff for women in firefighting, and they brought in women from jurisdictions and different countries from all over the place. I think it was like 30 some odd of them, and
not enough.
and it was all about diversity and inclusion and all of this stuff and all the woke stuff, like all the it rung all the bells. Let's just put it that way. It rung all the bells. And these women were all not given opportunity enough in their own places, so they brought them to Banff to give them an opportunity to do a controlled burn. Well, the whole controlled part of it went right out the window. They set the whole place alight, and if the winds changed, and
right, yeah, the wind. We'll call it the wind. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. No. We were expecting it to come out of the east, and next thing you know, it's a west wind, and I'm stuck out here with 30 women that don't understand a west wind fire. We were preparing for an east wind fire. We spent all that time in the classroom. Next thing you know, oh, Christ.
But yeah, I mean, it was just a perfect storm, I guess. The perfect storm of all the things that were right down the middle of this is what happened. And I thought personally, like, no, like it was something else, wasn't it? Like it was actually an accident. And usually if it's actually an accident, the media will go right on anybody who criticizes them and say, you're a sexist for having said so. But they buried the story. They just didn't talk about it. They completely veiled on it. Like, no.
That's what we call is a fire sweep.
Well, they had a bunch of male journalists doing the sweep on that one.
Yeah.
It was effective.
Like, what do you can't even defend it, you know what I mean? Like, you just have to sit there and like take it, like, you whatever, fucking, we tried, okay? Oh, did you? You just have to like literally just take the lumps. So funny.
And it was so funny because like immediately like Twitter blew up about it. So people on Twitter started saying it, and it's like, you shouldn't say that. It's not a laughing matter. But this is where I kind of wanted to get at the whole punching up or punching down thing. So I think a lot of people who criticize it and say like, don't, you shouldn't say that, they think you're punching down. And what people don't realize is the power that like feminism and wokeism and all this stuff actually have in our society and in our culture today, that when you're poking fun at women, you're punching up. That's an uphill battle all the way. Right?
Oh yeah, we're punching up, all right.
Yeah, right.
That's one way to get away with it. Yeah, no, don't worry, ladies, you're better than us. So can I make fun of you now?
Right. Oh, but it's so funny. Like you see it on news and you see it in commercials and everything. TV, I hate TV anymore. I can't watch TV because everybody's a Homer Simpson if you're a male on TV. You watch any commercials these days, and you're just a dumb man. Every commercial seems to go that way. Even the radio gets it. Like you'll have like the strong woman character. It's like, oh, I know this smart thing, and then the guy says something stupid, and you're like, oh, stupid guy. Buy this product, and your life will be better. And that's just like,
yeah.
It's definitely like you're punching down if you're going after dudes. You're punching up if you go after like feminism or any of these things. That's why your video cracked me up so much. I shared it with the guys at work. They're all cracking up to it, but everyone's kind of like looking over their shoulder. Are they allowed to laugh at this? And that's I think what gets me the most is the taboo of not being allowed to say it.
Whatever. What are they gonna do? Burn my house down?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how to reply to that. That's funny. Oh man. Yeah, well, that's just it. So, well, that was the story in the news. Oh, but yeah, you're not allowed to say it. You're not allowed to say it. Everybody's jumping down everyone's throat on social media about that story. When I covered it in a way where I was talking about not only that. It wasn't a whole video just dedicated to that. So I talked about that, and apparently there was like environmentalists that were lighting fires in Alberta, and I don't know. Do you know anything about that?
Really?
Yeah. So
it wouldn't surprise me. This just seems too calculated at this point. You know, like this place is the only one burning down right now. It seems weird.
Well, there's a bunch of fires. There's at least 20 some fires going on
They're
currently.
all over the province right now, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's like Grand Prairie, Edson, and then like all along, like it's, if you look at the like that fire map, it's like, holy shit, I didn't realize that many places were burning up right now. And then out in like Leduc area, they're all over. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's insane.
Spruce Grove. Yeah.
Well, you guys deal with this every year, right? Like this is kind of a normal well, this isn't, this extent of it isn't normal, but like fire bans is kind of like how do people react to the fire bans in Alberta? I know in British Columbia people are pretty adherent to them. We get fire bans for long stints because it really dries up out here, but are people pretty good about it, or are they just like, I'm gonna have my fire?
Yeah, for the most part, like I don't hear of anybody really, I don't know. And I think right now you'd kind of be an asshole at this point if you're like, you know what? Fuck them. I got a 2.4 Bush Light. I'm a rage. You know, like I think for the most part, I don't really hear of anybody really having any fires or nothing like that. And you know, like apart from like that's something most people would just get behind unless you're just a full-blown Neanderthal and you're like, eh. Where like when it was COVID rules and restrictions out here, a lot of people, I seen a good chunk of people, especially in my hometown, that were like, kiss my ass, I ain't doing any of that. So it's like, I don't know, it's kind of picky choosy, but this one makes more sense because if you have a fire, you're gonna put like, it's like physical, you can see it, you know, like where I feel like COVID was like one of those things where it's like, I can't see it, it's fake, you know, like, and I still believe it.
Well, you know, like when it came to COVID, it was like, yeah, okay, everybody's telling you this is a real threat to everybody's life. And then it turns out like, well, if you get it, you just gotta get sick for a couple of days and then you're good.
Yeah.
Like
we
all hid for that?
Yeah. That's what you know, so like that's, I don't know. I feel like people are a little more receptive of like following the guidelines on this because it's like you can see it and it's actually like destroying lives, you know, destroying homes and people are being like uprooted from their communities. Like Edson, Alberta right now is a ghost town. I just was watching some stuff there and like the fire marshal and a couple volunteers were getting interviewed and they're like, yeah, this is like depressing.
Well, I think people are pissed off right now because they're being evacuated from their places and they're like, well, nobody's saving my house. I want to go back and I want to go fight the fire myself.
Yeah. And you know, like communities like that, man, like small town communities, a lot of those guys is like have the skills to take something like most guys in the oil patch have their fire training, you know, you need it. So these are like reliable, you know, resources and people that can put it to work and they already understand like a team mentality. I mean, you work in a mechanic shop, so you understand like you've got to work together on some projects to get it done, you know, and those would be the dudes I'd want out there, you know. I'd want the WRTEX out there fighting the good fight and making sure that these guys are back in their trucks and they sit back and they watch strong independent women put out these fires like God intended.
like God intended,
yeah. Maybe it is time the fellas got to fall back and then they got to just watch the ladies take over and, you know, this is like the great reset that they were talking about. We just put women in charge, you know, like out here we got two ladies bickering back and forth on who wants to run the province and look what happens. The whole place burns to a crisp.
What do you think about that? You got two you got two ladies. Yeah, you got two ladies bickering back and forth. That's funny that you word it that way. Sorry, I'm getting the feedback thing again. If you can tweak it, but yeah. So we've got Rachel Notley and we got Danielle Smith. We got, you know, everybody's kind of looking at it this way, like, okay, you've got your rural areas, they're all voting Danielle. You got your city, and it's kind of mixed match. Like people either want Danielle or want Rachel Notley, and it's like, well, did you get a job from the NDP, you know, while they were in government, or did you not? You know, that's kind of the line that they're drawing. Like
Yeah.
from your perspective and where you sit, what do you see on this whole election thing? Is it a thing to worry about, or do you think it's whatever? Who cares? Whatever happens.
Truthfully, I kind of like Danielle because she's a loose cannon at times, like just pulling like, hey, we're going to do the Sovereignty Act and you guys can all beat it out east. And it's like, okay, you're a little bit of a renegade. I like that. I don't even give a shit. If she was NDP, I'd be like, oh, okay, right on. Here we go. Fire up the chariot. Let's see what you got. But right, it's so stupid, man, because they're just like going back and forth. It's like watching two high school girls that just got Snapchat and all their ads are just like, Danielle Smith, she gives hojos in handicap bathrooms. And then it's like back and forth, like, and then there's like, it's just a slander fucking back and forth. It's so dumb.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Fair enough. It does appear that way, and that's how the politics run. But you lived in Alberta under Rachel Notley, and you've lived in Alberta under the Conservatives. Like, did you see a big difference, or was it just kind of business as usual on your neck of the woods?
When Rachel was in power, that's when I was still like pipelining. So it was like I got affected by the whole like oil prices things. Now, is it her fault? Yes, 100%.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm just joking.
All right.
Honestly, it kind of, I hate to admit this, but what her whole plan was of like using more trains is that's how we moved the oil that I worked for a pipeline and we just operated a line that went to a tank farm, and the tank farm then pumped it into train cars and shipped it out of the country. So it didn't stop my work any means. The price of oil dropping affected my wage, but I think that's just all pish posh at this point. It's just like two idiots. It's like two class heroes that, didn't win prom queen or king. And so now they got to play the popularity contest in their 40s to try and feel something, that they missed out on. That's all it seems like to me, is all these like elections and whatnot. Cause it's not even like, I just caught I hopped on 5 minutes while you were still talking about like Pierre and shit like that. Even him, like you just watch him and you listen to it. It's how can I slander Trudeau? I can get the blue boys charged up that somebody's actually talking some smack to him. And then everybody gets fired up because they're like, oh, Pierre's racist. And then you defend this guy, and it's just us bickering back and forth. Meanwhile, these morons still like collect a paycheck and just give themselves raises whenever they feel like. So it all seems like a sham now. And I hate to sound like an Alex Jones supporter, but I'm not buying into the whole democracy thing these days.
Well, there was that one picture, and it was like Jagmeet Singh, Polyev, and Trudeau all together in their like Chinese outfits at the Chinese New Year thing. And
it's so dumb.
It's so perfect. It was just like the perfect picture to represent like the establishment, and like that's the uniparty. They're the guys that are going to control everything no matter what. There's not a lot of holding their feet to the fire at this point. That's why, like, when you tuned in, I was talking about, if we're gonna make any issue a thing that the guy can't back down on, let's make it this one. And I was talking about the CBDCs. I'm pretty firm on that. What do you think about the central bank and the Bank of Canada making it a digital dollar that they could just print out and give you cash whenever they want?
I don't want the government near me. I don't like them. I don't want them controlling the money. I don't want them following my transactions. This is the biggest step towards losing every ounce of your freedom. And they're going to mask it in a way of making you think like this is a good idea. Because, how many times have you dropped a loony leaving the grocery store? And they'll do some
we got that like loony for you.
Yeah, well, it'll stay right in your little digital wallet, and we'll make sure it doesn't go anywhere. But guess what? you can only drive your car 2 times a week. What do you think about that? And then, like that'll be in the back end and like all that dumb shit. Like I don't want those idiots should be there to make sure that the military is good and we don't have anybody come knocking on our front door. That's about where it should stop, And as far as like being involved in our personal lives of like what we're spending and how we're spending it should be totally out of the question. So now me and you can't trade back and forth without the digital fucking loony, and we can't maybe I want to buy that nice piano you got behind you. And I was like, and now we got to trade our digital loonies. And then, you didn't pay tax on that.
Yeah.
Why didn't you? You're going to have to tax that. That was a sale. So now we're going to get some sales tax out of that, like it's just the classic horse trading can't take place. Well, I guess it can. We could trade items and they can't, maybe we go old school and then we got to go like a Hutterite / Amish type living and we just trade goods with one another. Maybe like that.
Well, barter system. Yeah.
That'd be nice. So we go back to the days.
The problem with the barter system though is that they call it the double coincidence of wants. So like you have to have the thing that I want to get and I have to have the thing that you want to get, and if not, then I got to go find some guy that'll trade the thing for the thing that you want so that I can trade with you, and that becomes an issue. And this is where currencies come into play anyway. You find like some commodity, it's got to have a few of the fundamental things to become a money, in a sense, a commodity. It's got to be, divisible. It's got to be able to store value. So it's got to be able to maintain its value over time. So like rice and salt and all those things, they can't really work for that. But, and then everybody's got to kind of agree that, okay, that's that value, right? Like I'll trade that for other things. And then now you're back to money again. And that's, and then you're right back at square one and the government's going, yeah, well, I want to control that.
Yeah, that's it. I just don't want them anywhere near me. I don't like them. I don't like what they're up to. I don't like how they talk. I don't like how they look. I don't like them breathing my air, Well,
isn't that how it used to be in Canada? Like for the longest time, Canada was this idea that, yeah, I know taxes are a little high, but we have like good healthcare and the government just leaves you alone. Like the good healthcare and the government leaving you alone have all gone out the window, and the taxes are even higher than they used to be. Like
exactly,
where the hell are we? Like at what point does it claw back, or is it just like, are we going into dictatorship full bore?
That's what annoys me is we're too compliant as Canadians. It's still like it irritates me seeing people in masks and still trying to play the war or beat the war drum of the COVID stuff. We've never. The trucker convoy was like one of those things where I was like, regardless of my politics and whether I like this or not, seeing that many people get together and be like, piss on this was so nice and so refreshing to know that people out there have a spine and will say things. It's one thing. The BLM thing up here was like, oh, okay, I kind of understand it. People gathering and be like, yeah, Black Lives Matter. And it was about it, like almost it was more, it seemed to me like more of an American issue. Like I'm not a big fan of the police and I don't enjoy interacting with them. So I try and avoid them as best as possible. But like at the same time, like we have our own issues up here, and whether it's like police brutality on blacks or whatever race you want to put in, it just seemed like that just kind of took over for a while. And then it also, while that was happening and COVID's taking place, the whole like measures thing got pushed aside. So then that like fogged everything even more for me, because it was like, oh, so COVID doesn't exist when racism is being fought. Like it took a lot for me to like sit there and my wheels were just spinning all day. It's like, I don't fucking get it. I don't understand.
Yeah, and they were allowed to go to the Black Lives Matter protests. That's fine. And but if you went to an anti like lockdown protest, like no, you should be locked down. You shouldn't be standing close to each other.
The one thing that like we should be kind of questioning. Nobody was really, they just were like, oh, okay. But then like something happens in America and now we're upset. That was like the main thing that was like, okay, come on. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
This just doesn't make any sense right now.
Well, and it got crazy too. Like it went so far on the COVID thing. So they were saying, we have this many cases. There's all these people in the hospitals, and people started saying, how many people are in the hospitals? Because we see nurses dancing all over Twitter and TikTok and stuff. How many people are actually in those hospitals? And then they're like, case numbers. Look, lots of case numbers. And then they started talking case numbers. We're like, well, this is how many people have been diagnosed with it, or PCR tests. And then that got stupid because people didn't care and they weren't doing the PCR tests anymore. So what did they start doing? They started testing wastewater. They started testing people's like poo water to see how much COVID was out there. They were just so desperate to keep it going when everyone's like, we're done. It's over, man. Like we're ready to go back to work and do our thing.
Yeah. 2 years of my life was just sitting around and like getting angry. I was just like I'm not like, I usually don't get in confrontations in public, but it got like after a year, man, I was so fed up. Like I was getting in arguments with security guards. Like it was getting squirrely. And security guards, like it's like a Marvel fan base of like a faux superhero they all got in their fucking head. It was driving me nuts. These little dweebs coming up. Like the one guy, I was at Booster Juice, and like this is still when I was like, okay, I wanted to go to Booster Juice. It's in like the one, we had an office downtown during it at the time, and then the Booster Juice was in like Commerce Place, so it's like a downtown kind of mall where everything's like interconnected. Yeah, and I was like, you know what? I'll just throw on the fucking mask so I can go get a goddamn Booster Juice because I'm hungry. Usually I bring my own shit, but I didn't bring nothing that day. I'll do the mask so I can get what I want. And as I was leaving, I pulled my mask down to take a bite, and like one of them was on me like white on rice, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I was like, I'm eating this. And I can't do that. And then like that was it. It was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was like, yeah, well then make me not eat this.
No way.
What are you gonna do, you dweeb? So and I know that's not the proper way of to like interact with other human beings, but it got to that point where I'm like, oh yeah, well, let's fucking fight about it, huh? What do you think about that, Spider-Man? You got your little web, huh? You gonna web me?
Well, you're gonna web me. Oh, that's funny. So like this is a problem. I think like internet culture has really affected all of us. Getting the feedback thing, if you could tweak it again. Internet culture has really set up this weird, I feel it like as if people are, we're good. And people are like in cars, like everyone gets road rage when you don't actually have to communicate with that person. But as soon as you get out of the car, then it's kind of like, I don't want to deal with this now, but you're happy to, shoot somebody the bird or whatever when you're behind a car. But like, internet is like the same thing, but like 10 times worse, and you can say all the worst things to people and whatever, but when you're out in polite society you can't do that. But COVID gave people a reason to be schmarmy like that, just like straight up, just you can't do that, I'm gonna control what it is that you're allowed to do in this area. And it made people like freaking horrible to each other. And
100%.
And the thing is, like people need to spit chiclets every once in a while. I hate to say it like that, but like there's something to be said about, and this is why I always say like women in the workplace or women in situations.
Oh, I'm listening.
They don't get it the way men get it, because men from an early age, when we associate with each other and we're talking to each other, we're doing this fine little dance of getting along and communicating, and maybe we disagree, but as soon as we meet in a spot that we disagree, we now have to navigate this up and until the point where fists are flying, because they will. And that's the thing, they will. Women will never ever have that. unless you're dealing with some like wife beater or whatever, but like in just polite society, you're not gonna have like coworkers like griping at each other and then just like, okay, let's take this outside to a woman. You know what I mean? That never happens. So that the dynamic is just not gonna go the same. Do you get what I'm saying there?
No, I hit women. I hit them like a man would hit them, like my grandfather. I got passed down some good genes. I didn't spend all those years in a kickboxing gym not to lay out some ladies. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah,
right.
but no,
monetize.
But for real. So like it was this weird thing though, like during COVID, people were able to behave like they wouldn't without getting their lights knocked out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it didn't happen, and somehow people just complied and they were just like, okay then.
Yeah, it got to it took me a minute, you know. I was being one of them compliant losers for a while, and then after I was like, no, I'm not doing this no more. I can't. It's just like it's eating me alive. I'm getting pissed off. So it was like grocery store. And once you do it, like the one thing is like once you know, a lot of people don't like confrontation. So as soon as you're like a beacon of confrontation, and just throw a look on your face like I'm willing to die today. And nobody no one messes with you. It's like, you know, maybe lose a few hours of sleep, get some bags under the eyes, look like the kids have been screaming in the car for an hour, and then go charge in there and just power through. Nobody says jack shit to you. Nobody does anything. And like the one day I was in the grocery store and I could see this woman eyeballing me, and I'm like, say something. Do it. I'm there. I'm ready to I will speak my mind. And then she like casually walked up beside me and was like, hey, I love it. I love it. Thank God. I've been dying to see somebody just like not wear one of these goddamn things. And I was like, you know, you can just take it off. Like it's, nobody's what you think the produce guy? He's too busy putting bell peppers on the shelf. He don't care what you're doing. He's like, he's done. He checked out. $16 an hour to get in a fist fight with a lunatic? He ain't doing that. Plus, you're a lady. Nobody wants to yell at women in public. Well, I did at that time, but I was losing my mind, man.
Yeah, I believe it. Oh, that's a great point, though. It's all these people. They had this illusion that everybody else was policing it. Like everybody thought that everybody else was not only compliant, but like the armed wing of the government to make sure that everybody stays in compliance and stays with these masks on. And then it turns out, nah.
Yeah. No, they weren't paying me. I didn't take CERB. I wasn't on their payroll.
Yeah,
you know, so I ain't lifting your heavy work. Hire some goons to come boot fuck me then if you won't want me to do it. Like you're telling me not to, you know?
It's so funny too, because Bonnie Henry, she's like the Teresa Tam of British Columbia. And she did her announcement to say when they were gonna like lift the mask mandate and when they were gonna lift the passport mandate, the vaccine passport one. And in that announcement, she just said effective now. And they asked her about it, like, why didn't you do a countdown like all the other provinces? And she said, because everybody's just going to take them off now anyway. If I said in a week's time, everyone will take them off today. Like, that's the end of it. It's,
exactly.
Even though she's the worst of the shrills out here in British Columbia, at least she had the pragmatism to like understand that how human nature works.
Yeah, what's 7 days gonna do? Oh yeah, in 10 days you're gonna take it off and you're gonna be normal again. Like, well, what's changing from then or from now till then? Is anything?
Nothing.
Like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Oh man. we've been running this for an hour now, and I like to keep these live streams at about 2 hours. And for all the people that have tuned in live, this is an opportunity for you guys to catch these as they go live. I'm going to be reposting this later so that everybody else in the audience gets to check this out. I want to thank you massively, Uncle Hack, for coming in.
Yeah,
this is super cool. Like really, really cool to have other Canadian, quasi celebrities, comedians.
Whoa, easy on that celebrity comment.
Well, just people that I've been, like I said, I've been following you for like 4 years now, and we've come a long way. Where here I am, I've got a show on the internet, and I've got the ability to pull talent like yourself and bring you in for a conversation. And I hope it's not the last one, because I had a lot of fun with this, and I hope the whole audience did as well. I'll kill the podcast portion of this, and then we'll get to some questions if the people in the live stream want to jump in and ask some questions for Uncle Hack, and then we'll wrap it up. So if you want to catch the live one, tune in for that. Otherwise, you're missing out. Let's get into some questions. We had a super chat from I'm not your buddy guy. He says, I love how they thought you had to wear a mask in the restaurant and could take it off at the table as though sitting down has some sort of protection.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Well, when you're see what you don't understand is it's like, okay, we had one hole covered, right? When you're standing, you had this covered, right? When you're sitting, your asshole was covered. So at least one hole is covered at all moments. So when you were it doesn't make sense, I know, to like regular folk, but to like retards like myself and politicians who are also retarded, it makes total sense.
Right. I thought it was kind of like ducking in a gunfight when you don't have cover. Just
yeah.
What do we have here of T-Bass? He says, we'll bring you back. Last call, Nick and Ahmed. I don't know.
It was like a live stream where we'd have callers call in, and then I had two other comics here in the city, Ahmed and Nick McQuick, and we would just sit there and just piss around. Basically, it was like we'd just let Ahmed run wild and have a wild time with him because he's just out of his mind. He's a cool guy.
Nice. Will you bring it back? He's asking.
Oh, I don't know. It's like difficult now that like shows are back, and because at that time like there wasn't any like open mics and whatnot. And now that stand-up's back, it's tough to, lock both of them down for 2-3 hours at a time during the week. So, they're out of town. They're doing road gigs, and then Ahmed's like working in the patch right now. So he's kind of hit and miss to get lock him down for a couple hours.
Yeah, it's hard stuff, right? Because like, people are doing these things. You're up and coming. It doesn't mean like you don't have to have a fucking job. Yeah. I'm in the same boat, right? I do all this stuff on YouTube, and I still work a 9 to 5. That's just the way it goes. Margaret Free saying, good show, laughing guys. Awesome. Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you having. I'm getting speech jammed again. Can you fix that? Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Really
seems to be like every 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's like clockwork. You're whatever it is on your end. But stick around after we end the stream, and I'll have some chat with you afterwards as well. So don't disconnect. I'm just gonna say goodnight to the stream here. Ladies and gents, thanks again. And of course, links in the description. We'll have that when the podcast goes out. Make sure everybody has all the links to your socials and all your stuff. But thanks again, Uncle Hack.
Thanks for having me, Clyde.
Cheers. And thank you guys for tuning out. Every single week, you guys come in and join me in these live streams. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work all week doing the videos on a serious note as much as I can. every Monday through Friday, 2 to 3 videos a day. It's a lot of work, and it's awesome to, have this opportunity to let off some steam, bring in some awesome guests, have some people just chat, have some laughs, and chat with the chat, of course, here. And I want to thank everybody once again. And next week, unfortunately, we won't be having the live stream because it's my daughter's birthday. So family first. That's the way she goes. But we'll definitely be doing it the following week. So for everybody out there, thanks again. Might see you in the Discord later. I'm going to be having a chat with Uncle Hack for a little bit, and then maybe I'll see you guys over there. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next one.